You know what? More than they have. Despite the 21,000 trillion questions tussling in his head, Scoob doesn't say much as Dad drives into a hotel near the hospital so he can sleep in a real bed for a while. He does ask the most important one, but it tries to choke him on its way out of his throat. Is Gmo going to be okay, Dad? Dad's neck muscles tighten, and his hands twist on the steering wheel of the rental car. The RV, Scoob learned, was impounded, which brings to mind stray animals trapped in cages and makes him a little bit angry. But perhaps that's because he knows he's not going to like what Dad's about to say. The old man sighs, and his hands relax like all the fight's gone out of him. She doesn't get along. I spoke with her doctor on Monday. Well, he stops talking, peeks at Scoob out of the corners of his eyes. You sure you want to hear this, son? Scoob nods. So Dad nods, too. Your grandmother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 6 months ago. 6 months ago? Mm-hmm. And she told the doctor she didn't want treatment. Wanted to let it run its course. Dad shakes his head, sadly. Doc said she had no idea how your grandmother was even doing because Mom, Gma, quit coming in for checkups. She'd already reached stage 3, and Dad pauses to take a breath. Scoob doesn't say a word. That means it was spreading fast, William. Dad says. But she seemed fine, comes Scoob's reply, unbidden. If people have cancer, shouldn't they seem sick? It's like that sometimes, Dad says with a shrug. There aren't always symptoms you can see. Now Scoob's eyes are wet again. He's pretty sure he's cried more over the past 24 hours than he has in his whole life. So, she's gonna die? The air in the car gets soupy, and Scoob can tell the question is hitting Dad harder than Scoob realized it would. Dad's always so practical. 1 + 1 is 2. Scoob turns to look at Dad, who, in this moment, is just a sad man with a sick mom. And it occurs to him, this has got to be harder for Dad than it is for Scoob. Yeah, Chima's still Scoob's favorite person in the galaxy, but Dad's known her so long, his first home was her belly. Eventually, Dad finally says. More stuffy silence. Then, I'll finish making the arrangements once I've got you settled in. They'll release her from the hospital this afternoon. No charges have been filed against her. Yet. He shakes his head. If he only knew. I'm hoping they'll let us drive the camper back to Georgia. They'll likely confiscate it as soon as we get there because of... Now his face is turning red, which oddly enough makes Scoob grin just the slightest bit. This is the Dad he knows, wound tighter than a yo-yo string. Never mind, that's neither here nor there right now. Point being, we'll return to Atlanta and your grandmother will stay with us until... He stops again. Until she's not there anymore. Scoob finishes. Yes, that. We'll make sure she's comfortable and, Scoob watches the bump in Dad's neck move up and down, like he's trying to swallow, speak, something, but can't. Which to Scoob is fine. He doesn't need to. The drive back feels strange. They're able to take the RV, and Dad hires a nurse to travel with them for Gma's sake. She stays asleep in the back for most of the trip, but when she is awake, she's lucid, as Scoob's heard the nurse refer to it. She doesn't say a whole lot to anyone, mostly just gazes out the window at the passing landscape. But the handful of times she and Scoob make eye contact, she smiles at him. Sadly, but still, it's a smile. They make one extended stop back in Monroe, Louisiana, so Gma can use a real restroom and Dad can catch a nap. But of course, Dad wants to talk first. As soon as Gma and the nurse are gone, Dad comes and sits across from Scoob at the dining booth. He doesn't say a word at first, which is fine. Scoob can't get his eyes to lift past Dad's beard, which is why he knows the exact moment Dad finds his words. Um, well, I'll admit I'm not real good at this part, Dad says. And now Scoob does lift his eyes to Dad's because those certainly aren't the words he was expecting. Dad takes a deep breath. I'm glad it's okay, son, he continues. I know I don't always do a great job of showing it, but you mean everything in the universe to me, William. You don't know what I'd do. He shifts his focus to the ceiling, starts rapidly blinking and doing that gulpy thing that makes his neck bump look like a bouncing ping pong ball. Scoop's never seen Dad like this, especially not when it comes to him. I know I can be too hard on you, but I'm going to try and do better about that. Just when I couldn't get in touch with you all, those are the worst 72 hours of my life, son. Scoop's turned to gulp. So you told the police I'd been kidnapped? Huh? On one of our stops, I saw this news report. There was an Amber Alert, and they said Gma was also being investigated for a string of jewelry thefts. Oh, Dad says. So you do know about all that. He tugs at his beard. Is it true? What? That she, Scoob's roving gaze lands on Gma's bed. It's almost like you can see her confession scrawled across the duvet. Stole stuff. Dad sighs, sits up in his seat and narrows his eyes like he's been asking the same question. I honestly couldn't tell you, son. Apparently there's some surveillance footage at one place and enough evidence in another to make a connection. I can't definitively say she didn't do it. It's not uncommon for people to act rashly when they know they're coming to the end of life, he says. She did sell her house, buy an RV, and take you across 4 state lines without alerting either of us to her sickness. There's the old dad, hypercritical in the most low-key way possible. She didn't kidnap me, Scoob says with more slice in his tone than he intends. But since it's out there, I left voluntarily. And just in case Dad isn't catching what Scoob's throwing, he adds, I wanted to leave with her. Scoob watches the verbal punches land and immediately wishes he could pull them all back. I didn't tell anyone you'd been kidnapped, William. Oh, I reported you both missing, but because of the other investigation, they lumped the incidents together, decided it was possible you were in danger, and decided to treat it as a family abduction case. And you didn't correct them? Honestly, Scoob doesn't know why. Of all the things, this is making him so mad. Dad studies Scoob's face. I'm going to tell you the truth, even though it may make you even angrier with me, he says. All right? Scoob nods. I didn't know that what they were suggesting was incorrect, William. I saw the security footage captured at one of the 4 stores she's accused of stealing from, and, well, it's hard to deny it's her, son. I know the woman who raised me, but once I learned she was sick and hadn't told me, hadn't told us, I didn't know what she was capable of. I knew you weren't likely in any danger, and I also knew you left voluntarily and without coercion. What I didn't know was where you were going and for how long, because she wouldn't tell me. And after she stopped answering the phone and wouldn't return my calls, I began to wonder whether or not she planned to bring you back. Scoob doesn't respond. It's not like he knows these answers either. When I heard the phone had been found somewhere, I started assuming the worst. There's a knock, and then the main door opens, and Dad rises to assist Gma up the RV stairs. Gma blows Scoob a kiss in passing, and then the nurse helps Gma get resettled into the bed. Scoob can see the slightest yellow tint to her skin, and every time she moves, it's clear her back hurts. Once the curtain is drawn, Scoob expects Dad to sit back down across from him. He doesn't. In fact, he doesn't say a single word. Just returns to the cab, draws all the window shades, slides into the driver's seat, and reclines it to the limit. Guess they could all use a little time. Hopefully it's not more than they have. Georgia, the Peach State. State motto, wisdom, justice, and moderation. State capital, Atlanta. State tree, live oak. State flower, Cherokee rose. State bird, brown thrasher. Fun fact, #1 producer in the United States of the 3 Ps, peanuts, pecans, and peaches.